Well, well, well. Looks like Eve Ewing found her groove again. She must be watching the reviews, because everything in this book addresses the complaints people had about the first issue. It's like she pulled an ugly Wanda on me. I'm like, I'd love to stay, but there's just too much talking. There, look, just blows on the page. Yeah, but I need some action. You just, what? Here you go. Action. Look at all that action. But you know what? I need character development. There's no character. Boy, if I got action, I'm gonna bring the characters. I got you. Right. But villains. I need a good villain moment, and there's just which one you want. Treated, punked, or bitched. I told you, I got you. Now let me rock your world. Seriously, this is a solid book. Much better than the first two. It seems like Eve finally figured out the comic book format. The story flows. I'm impressed by the choices that Eve made in the book, especially with the villain. 1, it shows she did her homework. It's nice to see someone taking a moment that should have been defining and treating it like it was. 2, giving Riri flaws makes her human and relatable. She's actually likable. You find yourself rooting for her instead of rolling your eyes like you would have done a year ago. This is not the character Bendis created. This is something new and better. This is how you win over an audience. The story starts off with a flashback that does what didn't happen in the last issue. Gives us a little more of Deja's character so that we can kind of care about her. It's not a lot, just a scene of Riri graduating and Deja just showing up. We get a little backstory about her not graduating, and we see Riri's mother invite Deja over to make her feel welcome. It's a nice moment to establish that Riri and her mom have a relationship with Deja that's important. It's implied that she's like family. It's quick and to the point, and all you need. The audience will do the rest. Perfectly done. There is just one thing. Mom is like, come by the house. We have a caramel cake, and I might eat the whole doggone thing myself. Right, Riri? Why are you trying to fatten her up? She's already wearing a fanny pack like a bandolier. You trying to get a girl diabetes? Go on, baby, just eat this last crumb. I got the insulin shot right over here. So then it jumps back to the present, and we see Riri and Xavier trying to connect the dots with the recent thefts. This is a good scene, and even though it's kind of dialogue heavy, it works. Probably because Eve read her dialogue out loud to make sure it sounded right. What I like about the scene is that it shows one of Riri's flaws. She overanalyzes things. She looks for a pattern based on location, but Xavier brings up looking things up by the victims. Riri is like, why didn't I think of that? And Xavier goes, you don't watch enough TV. Little touches like that make their conversation seem honest. This is how people actually talk. You can buy that they're friends. But the coolest part of the scene is that it's really obvious to look at the victims if you want to know what's going on. Batman would have done that from the start, but Riri doesn't think like that. She's looking for the deeper connection and misses what's right in front of her face. I like that because it plays into everything that she does. She likes to solve problems on her own and forgets that she has limits. That gets her into trouble, which makes for good storytelling. There is this little bump in the narrative where Riri's mom comes in to chastise her about not being in school. It's a good moment, but it feels odd to place it here. It does open the door for Xavier to call Riri out for not asking for help from the champions and other heroes she knows. Real quick though, dude, get your hand out her face. You can put her in her place without asking her to smell your fingers. They get stumped trying to find out the connection until Riri stumbles onto the pattern. All of the people who had their items stolen work for politicians. Now, to be fair, it is a little weird that it took her this long to realize that. She's got all this tech, you'd think that this would be one of the first things cross-referenced, but no. It's not that big of a deal, but it is a little unbelievable. Then Riri's mom calls the kids upstairs because Deja's been found, and she has this ridiculous reason for why she's been missing for so long. She says, I tripped over a branch in a wooded area just outside the city. I was knocked unconscious. Let me guess. 2 white guys in MAGA hats jumped you, said, this is MAGA country, nagger, tied a bucket of chicken around your neck, and poured hot sauce all over you. And of course, they did it not facing the camera, so nobody could see it happen. What'd you give him, Deja? Your grandmama's sweet potato pie recipe? Obviously, the story doesn't make a lick of sense. I mean, you have found her from her stomach grumbling. So Riri goes to talk to Deja, and Deja gives her the cold shoulder and throws Riri's success in her face, saying, you're a grown person now with your own life. and way too much I'm the one who made it out of the hood survivor's guilt and not enough common sense. And Riri's like, oh, it's like that? It's like that. It's a nice bit of dialogue. Fits the characters, sounds like real people. That's what Riri needed to be a good character. Sound like a normal person. It also shows a little bit of tension between these two. The tension is obviously fake. We know these tropes. Deja's putting on an act, but all of it isn't an act. There might be some truth to her dig. Riri tries to deflect and talks about Deja's shoes, but Deja's not having it, so Riri leaves and we get the villain reveal. Turns out Deja made a deal with the villain to protect Riri, but since Riri didn't lose interest but kept prying, he decides to take her out. And Riri hears all of this because she planted a listening device in Deja's shoes when she checked them out. The girl is thinking. Nicely done. The villain spies on her but doesn't realize that all of his ninja skills don't hide his body temperature, so Riri finds him and goes on the attack, which doesn't go her way. He tosses her into a building, and I'm still not sure how this works because the way it's drawn doesn't make sense. How does he flip and throw her from this position in the air when he can't fly? Once she's in the building, Riri loses track of the guy. He somehow masks his heat signature, and Riri starts to panic. AI Natalie tells her to calm down, and Riri does something really cool on the fly. She finds this roll of tape, conveniently sitting right in front of her, and uses it to take the guy's prints off of her armor. That's cool and very clever. That's my second favorite moment in this book. It's the sort of thing that we need to see Riri doing, thinking and learning. So she finds his info, and we find out that the guy is Midnight's Fire, and he's basically Black Itachi. And Riri's like, oh my damn. And before she can do anything, he grabs her, and he's like, dwell in your fear. And she has a flashback to when Thanos treated her ass in Champions. Look at this. Her whole day is just fucked. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's just perfect. This was such a big moment for Riri, with her finally being put in her place, and what Eve's done is turn it into one of Riri's fears, so much so that she gets triggered by being attacked the same way. Eve, there you go. There you go. That's how you tell a superhero story. That's how you write it. From now on, you write it like that. I mean, this just makes the book. It shows just how much this moment affected Riri. She thought she was gonna die. And that's the place she gets taken right back to. She thinks she's about to die. Damn, that's good writing. There's this concept one of my animation teachers taught in his class. He called it an adrenaline moment. It's a moment that defines a character. Something that they will never forget. Something that fundamentally changes them. Every story is built around these. It's either the start of the story, Uncle Ben dying, the turning point of the story, Luke finding out Vader is his father, or the climax of the story, Neo becoming the One. These moments make a story worth telling, and that's what Eve has turned this into for Riri, and it just works. So AI Natalie tries to snap her out of it, and she's like, come back, Riri, come back. Thanos didn't kill you. You and the champions escaped. You lived. You lived. Come back. Riri finally gets a hold of herself, fights back and knocks the guy out, and then she's ready to bounce. AI Natalie is like, you should wait, just in case the guy disappears like the last ones did, and Riri's like, nope. Gotta go. See you when I see you. Once she hears the cops coming, she bolts and AI Natalie calls her out. She's like, you don't have a plan. You need professional help. Call the champions. And Riri doesn't care. She wants to be the hero and solve her problems on her own. And AI Natalie is like, so you want your mama to lose another person? How many people have to die, Riri? And then she immediately apologizes, but it's too late. She's got Riri emotional and Riri makes her shut down. She lands on Harold Washington Library and stands there and cries. And she thinks to herself, being alone is the best way to make sure you don't let anybody down. That's why I fly solo. And that's how it ends. And I'm like, thank you, Eve. This was a book I was looking for. Thank you. That is how you write a comic book. So that's 3 issues now, and only 1 was off. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. If you're on the fence about this book, if Eve can keep this up, this is going to be a good read and worth your time. I'm not promising the best comic book ever, but you're going to have a fun ride if she can keep this up. And this is a perfect response to critics. Alright, I'm going to do what you say. Now what? And I mean, she nailed it. There's nothing else I can say. This is a solid book. And by the way, this is how criticism is supposed to work. You analyze things, seeing what works and what doesn't. You should be able to give credit where it's due, just like you dish out critiques. This is what you're supposed to do, so I hope that the creators who love to chastise critics understand that even if I don't like your politics, or you, if you make a good book, I'm gonna give you credit. So y'all should check out this book, and if you have read it, let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Thanks for listening.